In chapter 1714, Duncan continues his internal struggle to push Liberty away, believing that his indifference and arrogance will ultimately drive her to leave. His hope is that by appearing unreasonable and capricious, he can tarnish his own image in her eyes, making it easier for her to move on in the future without any lingering attachment. However, Duncan's plans prove more challenging than he expected. Liberty remains unfazed by his attempts to deter her, and her unyielding presence poses a threat to his carefully constructed facade. He vows to find a way to make Liberty willingly stay away from him, even if she continues to care for him daily. As Duncan contemplates these internal conflicts, Mrs. Lewis enters the ward. She checks on her son and reaffirms her decision to have Liberty take care of him. He inquires about the daily fee Liberty is receiving, seemingly troubled by the financial burden on his mother. Mrs. Lewis reassures him that she can afford it and is willing to provide for his recovery. Duncan, however, expresses concern for his parents, who are visibly aging, and suggests that they should not bear the responsibility of his care. He proposes that someone else be arranged to take care of him, reducing the strain on his aging parents. This shows Duncan's consideration for his family's well being and his desire to alleviate their burdens. The dynamics between Duncan and Liberty become increasingly complex as he verbally defends her against his mother's indirect blame for the accident. He insists that Liberty is not at fault, revealing a protective instinct toward her despite his efforts to distance himself emotionally. Mrs. Lewis takes a moment to acknowledge Liberty's exhaustion, emphasizing that Liberty's responsibilities extend beyond caring for Duncan, including running her breakfast business and raising her son Sonny. This highlights Liberty's sense of responsibility and dedication to her various roles in life, even as she takes on the task of nursing Duncan. Mrs. Lewis covers Liberty with a quilt, demonstrating her motherly care for the woman who has become entangled in her son's life. This simple act serves as a testament to the evolving relationships in the story, where care and concern transcend mere duty. His resentment resurfaces as he complains about Liberty's return after he drank the bone soup she brought. Mrs. Lewis skillfully diffuses the situation by explaining that Liberty had only briefly stepped away but had always intended to return. This response underscores the growing alignment of Mrs. Lewis and Liberty's interest, leaving Duncan with little room to protest.